There's going to be a food forest transformation happening pretty soon as we transition from the dry season into the rainy season. I have some work to do to get my food forest positioned to thrive this summer. I have big goals and big plans for the food forest this year. I'm going to build on what I've already learn some new things, and just keep growing. So let me take you on a little tour. I'll talk about the good and the bad of my food forest, talk about my goals a little bit. I'm going to be positioning these trees and bushes in various spots where I'm going to plant them. Goals number 1 and 2, in no particular order because they're equally as important, are to fix my past mistakes and to expand the food forest. This is a beautiful area under this oak tree. This monstera is really centerpiece. We've got gorgeous cranberry hibiscus with the pink flowers and the purple leaves. Biodiversity is great here. We've got longevity spinach, katuk, Cuban oregano, multiple kinds of ginger, turmeric. This is a really beautiful area. But there's one big problem here that I need to fix. And that problem is this Cogan grass. It's just gone wild in this spot. It's just smothering this section of the food forest, and you can't really see the beautiful ground cover that's growing here. I'm going to pull this Cogan grass by hand and then do a better job of staying on top of it. This Monstera deliciosa can definitely be propagated this year. I'll do some propagation, plant it around really good spots. You can see this area here is overgrown with grass and weeds, but mostly I'm worried about the grass because that's the hardest to get rid of. And as one project, I'm going to remulch this with cardboard and oak mulch and expand over to that oak tree right there. I'll cut the oak tree limbs up about 8 feet so I can walk underneath it. Finally, this tree will have some neighbors and a good ecosystem to thrive in. This grass is so thick that I'll have to weed whack it. It's this torpedo grass, which is terrible. I'll just put this shrub here right now. It's a small flowering tree. It'll attract pollinators to the spot. And just above that weedy part, I've got a mid-row here that I want to improve. And while I'm at it today, I'm going to make some mulberry cuttings. Because also on my list of goals is to improve my nursery. So I'll do some cuttings. This area is not too bad. I just need to do a few things here in a line. I'll show you a little closer. So I have a few trees planted in this row already with some bananas too. Really, the main things I'm going to concentrate on this year is that I'm going to bring a lot of mulch into the center to make it a more pronounced row. Maybe add 1 or 2 shrubs or trees. I'm going to bring in more ground cover and plants that I can use as biomass so that I don't have to rely on the mulch every year. I'll put this little guava tree right in between these 2 bananas. And I'll put this blackberry jam fruit right here on the end of the row and right before the first banana pit. And right here is the first banana pit you encounter as you're walking into the food forest. It's actually the second banana pit that I planted, maybe the third, I can't remember. This area needs some work, especially over here. I'll give you a little close-up. So another thing that needs my attention is this soursop tree. Thought it was going to die. It was blown over by Hurricane Ian, and then this ice cream bean smothered it for a couple months because I was procrastinating. But now that we've had some rain, it does have some growth, so that's promising. I'll be giving this a lot of attention, but once the rainy season starts, I don't think it'll need attention anymore. And here is the first banana pit that I put in. And then we've got the very first section that I ever planted right over there in my banana jungle. I'll show you that in a minute. Another plan is to make this whole area pineapple patch. I really love fresh pineapples. This is the other side of the banana pit where I just showed you the soursop. We have a moringa over here that's starting to put on some leaves. It started several times, but then it's been too dry. This spot here isn't really too bad. I just need more ground cover. And right here is the African potato mint patch where I also interplanted some Florida betony. And I'm somewhat of a couch potato, so this is my food forest couch. Got some vevetor grass that is about ready to go in the ground. That'll be good biomass. This is what I call the banana jungle. I'm transplanting all of the Cavendish Home Depot special bananas back here. This area was really devastated by Hurricane Ian. There were 2 very large trees that pretty much destroyed the whole area, but it's coming back very well, even in this dry season. So I'm going to continue to propagate bananas back here and then expand this area just a little bit over in that direction. And this whole spot that was cleared out by the hurricane will be an expansion, but possibly not this year. This whole area floods quite a bit in the summertime when it rains a lot. About half of the plants that I had here are now dead because of that. The plants that are still remaining, obviously they can handle it, so I'll keep them. Except for these bananas over here, I'm going to move those to the banana jungle. And of course, more Cogan grass. So I'll give you a quick tour of this, show you which plants are here. So in this flood prone area, we have this cocoa plum here who doesn't seem to mind. These Cavendish bananas, which I'll move. There's a huge wild blackberry patch here. The flooding doesn't seem to bother it, and I'm just going to let it go. The extra moisture from the flooding will help these taro grow. Planted 7 Puerto Rican taro. They're supposed to be really good, high yield plants. So I'm looking forward to watching these grow. There's the apple banana patch. Got a star fruit. It does flood there a little bit, but not too bad. Doesn't seem to mind. And we have a sherbet berry, which is doing just fine. And then over here, these 2 plants actually love water. This is a jamun tree. It's grown about 8 feet in a little over a year. Here's a Japotacaba. Despite the dry season drought, this Japotacaba doesn't look too bad. It has rained twice in the last week, just a little bit, so that's helping. All that Cogan grass just making it look ugly. I'm going to pull this all up by hand. Project number 3. And right here we have a little hibiscus patch that's overgrown with some Biden's alba. I'm going to plop this little sugar apple right here. Should be a good spot for that. This is a small little dwarf Namwa banana pit. It's kind of the transition in between the flooded area and this newer row right here. So similar to what I did on the other side, I'm going to make the row a little more pronounced in the middle, more of a mid row with lots of mulch. I'm going to plan out the ground cover in here, and I'll put down a few bushes and trees too. Right here we have a peanut butter fruit tree. There's a cassava. I'll put a tree right in this area. I'll put this fried egg tree right here. This is going to attract pollinators. It makes big yellow and white flowers that look like fried eggs. It may actually be medicinal, but I can't remember for sure. I'll follow up on that, put it down below. Probably right in there. I'll put this Suriname cherry right here. This is the improved black variety. It has a sweeter taste. The taste isn't as much like turpentine. A couple of papayas there. And I'll probably put a tree right here. This looks like a good spot for a canistel. I think that'll go good there. Mulberry right there. Yeah, good spacing. We should be good. Here's a Rollinia. And over here, it's a cherry of the Rio Grande. Got a blackberry jam fruit right there. There was a sugar apple right in this area, but it might be gone now. Got a chaya right here. And once again, Biden's alba isn't so bad, but there's more of this Cogan grass than I need to pull up. There's a mulberry tree right there. I'll put this almond bush right here. It's not going to make almonds, but it's going to attract pollinators. Should be a good spot for it. It's going to be beautiful. I don't typically water my plants in the food forest, but those potted plants definitely need water. And when I do water plants, this is how I do it. Pond water. I call this area the mango grove. There's only 3 mango plants and a few other fruit trees here. This area doesn't need that much work. I'm really looking forward to the rainy season so I can chop and drop this Mexican sunflower completely. I'll show you around this spot so you can see what's planted here now. You can see there's quite a jungle of Mexican sunflower in the mango grove. Can't wait to be able to chop and drop this. There's a strawberry tree in here, Jamaican cherry, whatever you want to call it. Got a Florida King peach, still hanging on. Got a fruity smelling undergrowth. It's pretty awesome. I think it's the beefsteak plant. There's the Casar mango. It's getting buds. And then over here, Nam Dak Mai mango. It tried to make fruit, but it's still too small. Didn't work out. And then through here, you can see the Kerry mango over on the side. It has a couple big mangoes holding on. And some smaller ones that came in later. I just want one mango. This is the first time it's fruited. One mango and I'll be happy. This is the end of the mango grove, and we start into what I call the forest garden. Got a jujube tree right here. Pomegranate up there on a mound. There's a little sugar apple. Mountain soursop with gorgeous shiny leaves. And Ceylon gooseberry. I think there's room for one flowering shrub right there. I'll plant this yellow buttercup right here in this spot. This will attract pollinators for the various trees around it. Won't take up too much space. It'll have beautiful yellow flowers. Great addition. Perfect spot for it. So I may bring some more ground cover into this garden area, but there's a lot of sweet potato here that you can't see yet. This whole area was covered in sweet potato last year, so may or may not need ground cover here. Now we're moving on to the actual forest garden. Even though I call that other area the garden area, this is where the actual garden is. Seed bombed forest garden. The forest garden is going to be expanded this summer. It did so well last year. I want more of it. I'm going to expand it from here. It'll be about a 10 by 20 expansion. I'll do a little weed whacking at the edge of the food forest there. Clear the weeds and the sumac trees around this pine tree. Lay down cardboard mulch and oak mulch and palm mulch all the way here. And I'll have a much larger forest garden next year. The spot is really good for a forest garden. It has protection from the brutal Florida sun by these 3 oak trees. And there's a natural slope where the water pools right here. So it'll stay nice and moist, but not too moist. I still have some plants to find a location for: 2 jackfruit, pomegranate, another sundrop, 2 guava trees, a jade plant, and a mangosteen. Looks like that sundrop needs some water. I gave those potted plants a nice drink of water, so the last thing to do is take those mulberry cuttings that I made, just put them in the water for now until I can put them in some soil.